Welcome everyone, back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll be having a look at the latest GFS, GEM, ECMWF and GFS ensembles. In my last update we did potentially look at things warming up a little bit, and we had a bit of a signs of encouragement for the end of April, but those have diminished, and it is looking like, even though we're going to see a couple days of a bit of a warm-up, it is generally going to remain cold but dry. Do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you do like and subscribe, as it really does help me out. So we've had a lot of northern blocking around over the last few weeks, and this is why it's been quite cold. Now, we're not going to see any big northerlies with loads of snow or anything, as this time of year it's so difficult for that to happen. We're just going to maintain a sort of a north or northeasterly flow. And if we run through the current GFS, you can see high pressure over the top of the country, and there is colder air to our east, and it's slowly moving its way southwards, and it's going to dislodge any little warmth we've had over the last couple of days, where temperatures have got up into the mid-teens and have been pleasant and not too cold overnight. Beyond that, though, you can see quite a cold air mass encapsulates the country. It does always try and build up a warmer air mass, but never quite pulls it off, with, you see, that greener air still towards the north and the east, meaning temperatures are going to be suppressed. And it's looking like the flow is going to maintain from the east or northeast. Now, it's through high pressure, so it's going to be light winds, but it's still coming off a chilly North Sea, so temperatures are going to be settled down a little bit, but it's still going to mean there's potential for overnight frost again. But one good thing is there will be very limited rain. I know some people do want some rain for their gardens, as it has been quite dry the last few weeks. But for many people out there who want to enjoy the freedom with the relaxation of the restrictions, it does mean outdoor dining and all outdoor pubs and all that. It does look like it's going to be generally dry for all of you. Beyond that, you can see we do try and have a go at pulling up some warmer air from the south, but it's always getting fought off by this northern blocking. You can see this air of high pressure going up towards Greenland, and this would be brutally cold in the winter, with northeasterly winds driving snow showers with this small sort of area of low pressure that runs through the country, and we maintain sort of a north or northeasterly wind, and we actually go quite cold again with quite a cold air mass, and you couldn't rule out a few snow showers over Scotland. Further southwards, less likely to be snow, but maybe 10-11 degrees highs in the day and below freezing at night, so very chilly for the end of April and early May. Now, this is getting towards 240 hours, so it is more uncertain, but I've already had a look at the ensemble members, and they do sort of are backing this as well. Beyond that, we maintain this sort of northerly wind before it does look like the Atlantic could be powering up again. If we look at the 850, so if we have a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies, you can see low pressures out in the Atlantic, and we're pulling in southwesterly winds or even southerly winds, which means the air mass is going to warm up, but it's likely to bring some more rain. But you can see quite warm temperatures to our south, perhaps getting up to 10 degrees at 850 HPA. Although it will be with more cloud and more rain, it means when we do see sun breaks, it will be quite warm, perhaps high teens. Now, this is well towards the end of the GFS run, so it could just be an outlier. But it's just interesting to see that at least the GFS operational run is breaking through from this northern blocking pattern. Even though we do have colder, warmer spells within this sort of long-term spell, long-term time frame with rain, it's probably better than the cold northeasterly wind we do have right now. If we now move on to the GMC, where that does back up the GFS, at least to day 10, you can see generally very similar. And then we see that northern blocking pattern, and we do pull an easterly wind. Now, this easterly wind is not quite as cold as the GFS initially. It does go quite warm perhaps towards next weekend, but coming in off the east, it does mean it may feel a bit chillier and with a few clouds, even though the upper airs are relatively mild. Beyond that, we do pull in that northerly wind, and again, towards day 10, GM supports the GFS with a cold northerly wind, which would likely bring widespread frosts and snow showers to the north. If we now have a look at the ECMWF, see what the ECMWF is showing, whether it does support the other models, you can see generally, again, very similar pattern. And you can see as we head towards day 10, we pull in northeasterly winds with a cold air mass returning. But we have more of an influence of lower pressure breaking through and sort of sitting to our south. Perhaps a little cut-off low potentially forming sort of in the Bay of Biscay, which is forming which is not allowing the block to get as far northwards. And although we are pulling in easterly winds, it probably would have more rain with it, unfortunately, but a bit milder temperatures. So it would cut out overnight frosts, but then in the day perhaps a little bit more cloudy, more showery, but temperatures perhaps a little bit warmer. So east symptom not quite supporting that northerly wind. Does show it sort of general northeasterly pattern, but doesn't show it sort of sustained. If we now have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see generally we're around average for the next sort of 5 or 6 days or so, feeling quite warm in the day, maybe 15, 16 degrees, but at night, getting pretty chilly, nothing too cold. Perhaps an overnight frost in some more rural areas. But it's where we see this big drop-off where we go down to -3, -4, perhaps even lower than that to 850 HPA, which is about 5 or so plus degrees below average this time of the year. And it means we can have overnight frosts returning and colder days. And it does look like that for the foreseeable future. It definitely does look like our April is going to come out as quite a cold month. And we'll probably review the CET over the next week. It'll be interesting to see if we do see the April's mean temperature remain below anomaly of below -1 degree. If we now have a look at precipitation 2 meter temperatures, you can see precipitation is very, very low. Generally, longer term, there is a bit more of an uptick. Again, that's probably ensembles going with the similar pattern to the ECMWF, potentially having a low forming in the Bay of Biscay and over the continent, perhaps throwing up showers, but nothing sort of like an Atlantic onslaught, which is probably good, but we are getting colder temperatures with that as well. You can see generally over the next 5 days, temperatures around 13, 14 degrees, perhaps a little bit warmer. We do see more sustained sunshine, perhaps colder where clouds bubble up quicker. Overnight, nothing too cold at this stage, but it still could be colder than that. As we head towards sort of the end of April, start of May, when we saw those ensembles tip off, you see with the 2 meter temperatures, it doesn't respond as much. In the day, maybe only 10 or 11 degrees, but at night, only forecasting 3 or 4 degrees, but I suspect it will be colder than that. And it's just, GFS does sometimes struggle with predicting overnight frosts beyond like a day or two away, as it's difficult to, because it's all down to cloud amounts and exact upper air conditions and the pressure. So it's very difficult to predict that, as it will be due to with radiation, with it radiating out from the surface. So I do suspect, though, towards sort of 27th, 28th of April, perhaps we would start to see a return to more widespread overnight frosts. Beyond that, in the longer term, a lot of scatter, some staying cold, some going warmer, and even some by sort of the 5th or 6th of May going to 20 degrees. Again, be very difficult to see if that does come off, and you see the GFS operational run does go for that. It's difficult to see if that would come off at this stage, as we have maintained quite a sustained northern blocking pattern, and we haven't seen any big signs we're breaking out of it, but hopefully we will be, as northern blocking in the summer is pretty miserable. So not only does it keep temperatures quite low, it does tend to make things a lot wetter. Luckily, we haven't seen any sort of cut-off lows stuck over the top of the UK, spiralling showers and rain bands around, but that will be coming if we do maintain this blocking pattern. So hopefully soon the blocking pattern will change, and if it does, if we do see a blocking, we would rather go over Europe, which means it brings up warmer conditions from the southwest, especially this summer when the COVID restrictions, we really do want to have a warm summer so we can get outside, where restrictions are not as tight. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.